Okay, so in this edition of Turf Bugs and Rock and Roll, let's talk about transitioning from the summer into the fall for weed control in the winter for warm season grasses. Now, let's talk a little bit of biology here for a second. Winter annual weeds don't flower until the following spring. So a lot of times most of the time they are problems in the spring, but they germinate in the fall. So we have to manage them in the fall. So a lot of times it's very difficult or even impossible to manage winter annuals in the spring. And then we have the added problem of warm season grasses greening up, and we have a transition issue there we have to worry about. So the best time to manage warm season weeds in the winter is make sure you concentrate your efforts in the fall. Now, let's take the prime example here is Poa annua or annual bluegrass. That's going to germinate in the fall. In fact, here we are in September, it's germinating now. And we have to worry particularly about Poa annua because it also has a real, it has a real ability to develop resistance. So we have to use multiple modes of action when we're dealing with Poa annua. So, one of the things that we've been working on here for several years now that works really well is to wait over until about November and put about 3 different modes of action together in the tank, pre- and post-emergence herbicides. And that's really good because it minimizes the number of times you have to go over the turf, and it also, in the case of your pre-emergence herbicide, because you're putting it out later, it tends to have a little later longevity, and you have multiple modes of action. So these programs and I'll just throw out some examples here, Spectacle, Simazine, Curb, those kind of combinations with Revolver or Monument, or Barricade and Monument and Curb, those types of things. Simazine is always a good addition to put in there. 3 or 4 modes of action. And there's all kinds of combinations you can come up with there that work very well, but they're a combination of post-emergence herbicides with pre-emergence activity. Now, the other thing you can do too is, if you don't mind making multiple applications, is you can split those applications up and say apply a product ASAP and then come back in early November and make another application. I will just say one thing, though, when we're talking about post-emergence applications, I really like the early November applications for things like sulfonylureas and things like that for POA control, because the POA, even though you may not see it, it's likely germinated, and they're very susceptible. POA is very susceptible at that early stage, even though you may not see it. It may be down in the canopy, because typically we don't see POA until we get a frost and the Bermuda or warm season grass goes dormant. And those programs I were giving you are primarily for Bermuda grass. So keep that in mind. Keep multiple modes of action in mind to manage resistance. Minimize your trips over the turf area if you want. Put multiple modes of action in the tank, and you will see very good results typically in the spring. Sometimes if those types of programs fail, it may be because we have a very wet winter. It's something we don't know about. But like last year, where we had a pretty dry winter, all of those programs were really, really good, and we got excellent results. So good luck with your winter weed management. Remember, concentrate in the fall, and you will see the fruits of your effort in the spring.